Hello there, friends. So this is a different kind of thing that I'm going to try out. This is just a video that I recorded of me and my friend Kareem talking about some banned words from Michigan State University that we both thought were quite ridiculous. The video was so long that I figured it'd probably just be better to do a podcast. So I'm going to have some Ghost of Tsushima playing in the background. Nothing too serious, just going around getting some fox shrines, cleaning up Hub 1. So, yeah, hope you enjoy. Hello there, friends. So, this is a very random video, but I'm here with Kareem and my friend. So I know someone who's close to me who goes to Michigan State, and around Christmas time was telling me that they added a list of words that you are no longer allowed to say on Michigan's campus. And I only know a few of them, but the ones that we just happen to see to start off with is you can't say men or man. You need to say either people, person, or a wholly different word.
A wholly different
A
word.
wholly...
But like, look, they even give you like examples, like man hours. Who says man hours anymore? Like I guess
I don't think I've
bosses
ever
do.
heard that before.
I guess like some like CEO or some boss is gonna be like, yeah, we need more man hours.
Is that yours? Did we switch?
Yes, because
Okay.
I picked mine up and walked over here.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
But I don't know, and like on what I like they don't give you any kind of context. So like in my if somebody was like, what sex are you? Am I not allowed to say I'm a man anymore? Like
You have to say you're a woman, because woman isn't on
woman
here.
is not on there.
Woman and
yeah.
women, that's apparently
Or
fine,
I have to
but
say
you
I'm
can't
a-
say man or men.
Or do I just have to say I'm a person with a dick, right? Like,
Yeah, I guess.
like which one am I
I
supposed to say?
identify as a person with a dick.
Yeah, like I identify as a person with a dick.
And then the blacklist, whitelist thing. You have to say allowed, prohibited, include, exclude, allow us to deny list.
I don't know. That one, I think they're going more for, I don't even think that that's because of the race thing. I think they're just thinking that blacklist and whitelist seem too harsh. Which actually makes it even worse that they don't care about the race thing, that like blacklisting, black automatically means bad and white automatically means good.
You don't think that's what they're going for?
I think they're saying blacklisted because blacklisted has become such a, in itself, it's like a negative connotation. Like people who are blacklisted tend to be people who don't like fit into the mold, right? So you're excluding, like it's I bet you they're doing it more because it's exclusionary than it is for the race thing. Like this is the world of inclusion and we're all the same. You can't exclude people.
I could see it as that. I could see it as both, honestly. Like they just want to get rid of black and white.
I don't trust them to have even thought about it enough to connect it to the racism part.
Yeah.
Right? And like there is no way that some black person made this list, right?
No, it's a white person.
There is no way that a person of color there's no way a person of color are like a dude who actually is okay with himself and actually has sex with his wife and actually enjoys it that made this list. Right? This is not like
well, and that's where you get like brown bag, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like this is your typical like ally who thinks by putting this up that girl he was really attracted to is finally gonna like him because now he's finally, allied. And it's not gonna work. But like that's the only kind of person who makes this kind of list.
Right.
Disabled is another one that I don't really understand.
Well,
like what are you supposed to say? Like
I don't know. That's what you're supposed to say broken. I
like,
would be more offended if someone said broken.
Yeah, like if someone
oh, that person's broken.
Yeah.
What?
Like, I don't know, man. Like that sounds way worse.
You have to go to the broken parking.
Yeah, you gotta go to the broken parking. Guy's broke. Yeah.
Broken parking. What the hell?
You can't say you have a mental illness anymore. You're mentally disabled. You gotta say you're mentally broken.
The broken chair.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So that one I don't understand. There's no context to these.
Right. Like no one uses the word crippled anymore.
Yeah, like I said, I can't remember the last time I heard somebody say the word crippled.
Yeah.
Except for like in joking ways where we're like, well, I guess my neighbor.
Talking about you can't like joke with the word crippled.
Like my neighbor will sometimes say, "Yay, it's time for me to deal with my crippling anxiety again."
Yeah, right. I have crippling depression.
Yeah,
right?
something like that. That's like the only time I ever really hear it used.
Yeah.
I understand. So what is all this blah blah blah? What are they? Are these reasons why they're
recommended next steps? Develop a list of action items to implement the task force's recommendations.
So now they're trying to find a way to
tools.
enforce this.
Yes.
How do you enforce this?
This person was explaining it a little bit to me,
Yeah.
but I think it's almost like what's that book where they like it's like that really famous book that came out like in 1984 is that what it's called?
Yeah, 1984.
Where they like have to like call each other's like stuff. It's almost like that.
Wow.
Like I'm pretty sure that's what this person was telling me.
Big Brother's really coming.
All right, so here we go.
Okay, so here's all the words.
Man, blacklist, black and white
thinking.
thinking, binary thinking, all nothing thinking.
Duh. Okay. I'm going to go on a bit of a tirade. I don't know how long this video of yours is going to be, but...
Oh, no, we can go as long as you want.
Okay. I would have been fine with black or white thinking if they had only put the alternative as binary thinking. Because, and here's the reason. Again, I do not think that they were smart enough or intuitive enough to really think about the racial context, other than they say black and white, and saying black and white's not nice, right?
Yeah, right.
But to me, and this is the issue I have with all of this word policing and everything, is the whole point of language, to me anyway, is it's supposed to be a means of transferring information from one person to another as concisely and as accurately as possible.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
And it would be way easier to say that that's an action of binary thinking than it would be to say black and white thinking, right? Because it's shorter phrase. But to say all or nothing thinking, that's a way longer, more awkward, more cumbersome way of saying something than even black and white thinking, which makes me think that they're not even thinking about the language part of it. They're just saying it to feel good.
To feel good. That's all. Yeah, of course.
It's
that's what all
but,
this stuff is.
These little dopamine things that white folk just love. Do you?
Yeah. Oh
they
my
love
God.
it. Y'all love to just act like you're feeling better. I bet you the person is probably really proud of themselves. I did something good for this country today.
I'm so woke.
Yeah, and
I'm helping out so many so many black people who are not privileged like I am.
Dude, here is a piece of advice for all your YouTube fans, coming from a black person, right?
Wait, you said black. You're not allowed to say black.
Oh, no. All right, here you go, white folks. Followers. I'm all for fighting for rights, and I would march with the rest of them. But here is a good indicator of when you need to march for something or do something or act in some way, as if other people of color are doing it. If there are no other black folk doing something, and you're the only one advocating for it, chances are that it don't matter, right? There is not one black person in the city of who cared about that stupid statue coming down.
No,
not one.
Not at all.
Not one. But they did it, and guess what? There's no more marching. There's no more talking about how Black Lives Matter. There's no more anything. It's gone, right? They solved racism.
When the George Floyd thing happened, it was like all the white people were like, "Oh yeah, that's wrong," and then they joined in. And then immediately, just right after, we're like, "Oh, we're fine again. Everything's
great.
Good."
We marched a couple times. We stopped traffic. I guess racism's over. And I was like, and I remember going there, and I was like, when they were talking about this, nobody cares. When they changed my mascot. By the way, they changed my mascot.
Oh, did they actually?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're no longer the Raiders. We are the captains. Now. No. Okay, so I want to tell you why this is so. I want to tell you why this is so horribly awful. On every level. Okay, let's talk about this on every level, and we're always going to be mad together. Okay, and I want to make sure that this part goes in your video because I want to see how many of your followers know who this is too. But have you ever heard of John Motsby? John.
Oh,
Motsby.
I know that name. I can't think of a face though. Yeah, that sounds familiar.
Right. Okay. And maybe it's because I'm from California. I had never heard of that motherfucker in my life.
Oh, really?
Right?
Okay.
Apparently he's some Confederate. He's a Confederate general. Yeah, he was a Confederate general. He was the one who was stationed in, and he created the Raiders. And so what they would do is since or where we are in is so close into Maryland, he would just do raiding parties, go into Maryland, steal their stuff, and come back here and have a home base. And that's why the high school's named the Raiders, right? Mm-hmm. Raiders. So, I've asked so many people who John Motsby is, they have no clue. So, it's no longer tagged to him. But okay, so let's.
But that's the thing is people say, well, it doesn't matter if it's tagged him or not. It's Mm-hmm. Right.
So, but then let's go. So then, some white folks, they're like, we should change the mascot because everybody's changing mascots and taking down statues, and we need to be woke too. And of course, I got myself a lesbian principal who's trying to make a name for herself, so she's got to stay woke. I totally understand. I totally understand that there are so many other battles that she has to fight that she's just going to just let that one go. You know what I mean? Like, she's got way too many other things to care about. And so I don't put any of this on her. But, so we are now the captains, of which John Mosby was the captain of the Raiders. So instead of acknowledging, you just made
a full circle.
So at its worst, our school has gone from showing off the company as itself, and in that sense, you could just argue, look, those are just people following orders. It was wartime. They just wanted to make sure that they could bring bread home for their families. That's what you do in times of war. Right? There are plenty of Germans who agree with the same thing. Like, some of those SS officers were bad, but some of them, it was either they were need to do the bad stuff or they were going to get shot. Like, you either shoot that Jew or I'm going to shoot you, kind of thing, right? So they just had to do what needed to be done. But now we've gone from talking about the company, just a group of people doing what they need to do in a time of war, to the captain of them, the guy. Like, he is the guy. Like,
right.
He was the one who didn't, who hated
just calling yourself John Mosby High School.
Yeah, you might as well just change it to Captain John S. Mosby High School. Yeah. And when I talked to him about it, it's like, well, technically, by the time his career ended, he was promoted to general.
Who cares?
But I'm like, get out of here. Get out of here. Okay, so that is and unfortunately, that is only the surface level of why this is so bad. Let's go down to the next level.
Gotta take a sip of the beer.
Take a guess at what the budget is to completely redesign our school. Because you've been to the school.
I remember
Raiders everywhere.
It was like a shit ton of money.
At least $1 million.
And the thing is, the thing is, like, your specific school that you teach at, I love your school because it's really, like, when you walk in, it's very historic.
It's historic. It's the old school.
It's the oldest school in the county.
At least $1 million. You know what's also funny? Because they also have to change the logo on our football field. We just got that football field. We just got that logo. $22 million to get that football field. And now they have to change it. So let's just be conservative here now. And let's just say that the school is going to spend to completely repaint the school to get rid of all the Raiders, to change out all the sporting uniforms that say Raiders on them, take out everything that says Raider on it, to get different clothing for even the faculty, because they give us shirts that we wear there, because Fridays, like Spirit Day and all that. Let's just say conservatively, they're going to spend $2 million, which is chump change for county, right? Chump change county. How many laptops, school supplies, bus drivers, and things that these poor kids of color actually need could they have actually gotten and given to these kids with that money?
It's this sort of thing. So I think I mentioned to you, there's these two guys that I like to watch on YouTube, and they were they react to different videos and things, and they were reacting to a video where it's like, do all white people think the same?
Yeah.
And they gotta go on the line, like, do you agree? Do you disagree? That sort of thing. And one of the questions was, should white people be allowed to say the N-word? And they immediately were like, this is not an issue. They're like, white people are so focused on this one specific issue when there's so many other things that they could be putting their effort towards, but they always focus on, should we be allowed to say the N-word?
Yeah.
It's not an issue.
It's not an issue. It's actually a funny issue. And this is, I don't like to use this term much, but this is a perfect example of it. That example is a perfect example of white privilege, right? Because what they're saying is they're mad that they can't do whatever they want, right? So that instead of focusing on the things they can do, they're going to say, well, I can't do this one thing. And, so that means that we're actually not equal unless you let me say this one thing.
Right.
And, because I've had, that one does bother me, in the sense where, if I've had white people just come up to me and be like, can I just say the N-word and without offend you? And I'm like, in that context, yes.
Blows my mind because especially in the area that I grew up, I never heard anyone saying the N-word. That just wasn't a thing. So then when you told me some of the stuff that some people have told you, I'm like, shit, like that actually happens? Like I had no idea because I'm so used to being with like all of the Indian, white, and Asian people that I grew up with that I didn't like know that that was a thing.
Yeah,
you know?
you've definitely seen the Twisted Tea video, right? Have you seen the Twisted Tea video? Oh my god, you haven't seen the Twisted Tea video?
Have I? I don't know.
Where the guy smacks the dude in the face with a Twisted Tea for calling him an N-word? You haven't seen that video? It's so good. Oh my god. But no, I've literally had one of those moments. All right. You have to see the Twisted Tea thing. All right, that'll be part of this. You could do your reaction to the Twisted Tea video.
If only he got that. Oh, bruh. Dang.
They hit him hard,
he was
too.
asking for it, though.
Like, so there's those moments like that where it is totally real. And like, so like, if, for example, now we're going back to this, if that word was on this list, I would totally understand. Like that is a word where I think that it evokes so much hostility because of its, 400-year history, right? That it's something that I don't think it should be banned. I prefer people not to say it. Like I even prefer black people not to say it.
Like I don't think I like get it. Like to me it's like, why do you want to say it in the first place?
Yeah.
Like that's what I don't understand about white people saying like I want to say the N-word. It's like why?
Because they want to be able to do everything, right? That's the whole idea.
Yeah.
But you know, it's just like the word cunt, right? Like how that's supposed to be something
I love that word.
Yeah, but apparently dudes aren't
words.
supposed to say that anymore now.
Fuck those cunts. Fuck them.
Like, do you know the YouTube channel Shoe on Head?
No.
I'm gonna send you that. You would like Shoe on Head.
Okay.
She's very much like you. She's a YouTuber too, but she goes on a lot of like feminists are crazy rants, and she's like, I'm a girl who thinks feminists are crazy.
Yeah.
Kind of rants. So yeah, it's a good one. All right, let's go through this list. So we got crack the whip.
Crack the whip.
That's an old school
I don't
saying.
think I've heard anyone say. I haven't
heard
that
somebody say that since the
but
90s.
Like, yeah. Crack the whip.
Crazy, insane.
Yeah, you can't say crazy or insane. Oh, that's crazy. Oh, that's insane.
I say those words so much.
I know, same. It's crazy that you can't say crazy. You're supposed to say outrageous, unthinkable. Who says unthinkable? That is unthinkable.
It just depends on the context.
Nonsensical, incomprehensible. That is incomprehensible. Mm-hmm. Ridiculous. Like, it's stupid.
Doesn't it blow your mind that it seems like the quote-unquote freer and more advanced our society becomes, the more like, the more controlled
more restricted
we become?
Ooh, hello.
Like, it just reminds me of, you ever watch, like, old school Twilight Zone?
I've seen the first, I think, 2 episodes. It's great. I love Twilight Zone.
Yeah, well, there's like one where like once you become like a certain age, you have to get this surgery that makes you look like a perfect human, but you just look like a cookie cutter of everyone else, and then you're only happy ever, and they like.
It's like that Fairly Odd Parents episode where like he turns them all into gray blobs, but there's still like those. Like,
wow, I forgot all about that episode. That's
and then
exactly
like, but we're the grayest and the blobbiest.
Yeah, we're the grayest and the blobbiest. Man, Fairly Odd Parents was such a good show. Mm-hmm. Such a good show. Okay, dummy. That's another one I don't use very.
Dummy. I say
gender
dummy.
neutral, he or she. We're not allowed to say that.
You can't say he or she.
Wait, but is it saying gender neutral? And you can't say he or she, or why does it say? But then
gender
it says
neutral they, referring by name. So you can call someone by their name, or you can call them they. You can't say he or she anymore.
This one, dude, it really bothers me. It really bothers me because I know so many
people... go by she. Like what?
Yeah. So... Not only that, like this one really bothers me because I know so many people who really advocate for this one. Uh-huh. Like, and I know a lot of non-binary people, and I know a lot of trans people who really push this whole they thing. And they're like, well, I'm not because I don't identify as a boy or a girl. So
I'll
you have to
call
come
you they.
Like, and I'm fine calling them they. Like, it's really, like, it's awkward. Like, they is a plural word. And so, like, it's awkward to say. But, like, and I'll say it, but again, that's another one where you lose so much conciseness and you get no information. If I were to say, hey, I met this person, they blah 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 this, right? But if you say
I have no idea what the person looks like.
You have no person what the idea person looks like, no idea what they are like. But if you say he or she, you can at least get some kind of a general idea. Like
yeah.
You know
we've had this conversation before where I was saying how like if I ever needed to describe you, I'd say like, oh, it's that tall black guy over there with the afro and glasses.
Exactly, because that's just a fact. That's what I am. It is not an offensive to claim that that's what I am.
It's offensive that I said that you're black.
I know, right? And then it's also like, that is the battle you're going to fight? Like that's where you're going to put your flag. Like that's where you want to, that's the hill you're going to die on, is to make sure that I say they.
It's making people like not respect them even more. Because you're trying to like squash the language that people have been saying, and it's like, and you're like forcing it. You're trying to enforce it, and it just makes people not respect you even more when you do something like that.
And also, like, it's just a description, right? Like, you could identify. You can be, you can say, all right, you can be born a woman, identify as a male, and you want to transition to a male, right? And you're, or maybe you're non-binary. That's totally fine. But like, if I were to say, I'm trying to figure out how to best to like describe this.
So you don't offend too many people?
Yeah, so I don't offend too many people. Like, if somebody was like, describe the best way for me to do it was to start off with that you're a girl, right? Because that gives you like some kind of.
I am a girl.
That gives you some kind of like, even if you wanted me to start calling you Chris, and you wanted to slowly start to transition.
But I look like a girl.
Yeah, so like describe what if you were to say describe what I always have to say, well, she's a girl, like, she has that figure of a girl, like, and you can automatically, okay, that means she's, she has certain parts, she has certain shape, and you can kind of understand it that way. It doesn't mean that, if you want to be Chris, that you're not Chris and that's how you identify.
No, it's just a way to describe people. Like, I'm not saying that you're not what you are.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, this is what I see. So if I were to describe you to someone, I'm not going to say that you're a macho dude, right? If you don't look that way.
Think about how hard it would have to be if I was like, oh yeah, no, we totally need to hang out. That's my my gender neutral sub-trans blah 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 friend who does this, that, and the other. I was like, no. I'm like, oh yeah, she does this. Like it's so many extra words have to be added on to this, and they seem to be changing so much, and then like they don't make any sense. I honestly think that the concept, and I think we've talked about this before, like the concept of being non-binary and the concept of being trans completely cancel each other out. Like they completely go against each other, because one is advocating that there are no gender roles and that you can just be whatever you want, but then one is almost completely confirming that there are gender roles and I am choosing one. Right.
No, we've had this conversation before where it's like, if you are trans and let's say you're
gender roles.
Yeah, let's say if you're a guy transitioning into a girl, right? Then like from the trans people that I've met over the years, they specifically choose those gender roles that a girl typically has.
Because that's what they identify as. That's what they want. So that means that those roles are real. Right? Those roles are real, which means that gender is real, and it's not just, you know what I mean? Like
it's not this fluid thing like a lot of people say.
I think it's on a many people. It's on a spectrum.
Like, and the thing is, like, and we both have said this, like, I will respect, like, I have this one friend who I love dearly, and this person transitioned to be a girl, but wants me to call them they. Yeah. And I'm fine with that because I love this person and like I want to respect them. Yeah. But it's when someone comes up to me who I don't know you, like, and this happened to me. This happened to me in college all the time, where someone would just be like, "Well, my pronouns are they," and it's like,
and they're like, "You're expected. You're expected to
know that." Like, I don't know you. I don't respect you enough to, like, I don't know you. I don't even know your name. Like, why are you?
I almost wholesale disagree with the fact that gender and sex are somehow two different things. And what I mean by that, before you go crazy, YouTube, here's what I mean. I mean that they are two. They are. You can argue that sex is a biological thing, and that gender is what the person with that biology does, I suppose, right? And so you can argue that in a sense that is in a way a human construct. But they are so intertwined that they cannot be separated. Yeah. So, for example, like, I am both male and African American. I'm both simultaneously at the same time. I'm not one or the other, and I can never be one or the other, right? And so, like, and this is what I would argue, because they'd be like, oh, you and your male privilege. I was like, girl, like, You, you think so? And they're like, but you're still a man. It's like, I'm a black dude. I'm both.
Have you seen that video of the this woman who is talking with this guy and she can't see him, and the dude, they're both black people, and the woman says like, well, that's just because you have white privilege.
Yeah.
And he's just like, how do I have the privilege of having white privilege? She's like, well, that's because you're white. And he's like, oh, I hate to break it to you, but I'm black.
But I'm not. But I think it's the same thing. I think it's the same thing with gender. For example, yeah, you can say that, gender roles are things that humans created, but I think they created them, I don't know.
Yeah, I had to do the same thing.
Because of our biology. I think women have the gender roles they have because our biology makes them better at doing those things. So they tend to
You're going on the limbs here.
So they tend to do those things better. Like there are physical differences between us, right?
How dare you say something that's physically accurate?
Yeah. Like there is a reason why boys are more rowdy when they're younger than girls, is because our brains don't develop nearly as fast as they do. Like they have been basically shown that kids' brains basically act how adult brains on psychedelics work. Right? So while we're still tripping balls, you guys have finally started to realize what was going on in the world. You had your first period when you're like 8, right? So like you're ready to go. Like we're still, of course we're going to be more rambunctious. We haven't figured our shit out yet. But I just think there are other things that just make sense. Like it just makes sense for girls to wear dresses because your figures make dresses look good. If dudes wore dresses, we would just look like boxy messes. It wouldn't look attractive.
Yeah, it's the clothing that like accentuates
yeah.
how you are. Like, I think like I've seen some girls who can pull off like a suit.
Oh yeah, I've seen plenty of girls who can dress in boy clothes, and I've seen plenty of boys who have curves. But it doesn't
look as good as like a dude in a suit. Like you know what I mean? Like it's specifically meant. Like there are suits like that are catered towards women, but like when a woman wears like a men's suit or like a men's tux, it doesn't look the same as like,
because the shoulder it's in the shoulders, right?
Right, it's the
shoulders are too slim.
It's the shoulders, and then like with the like how you're saying a dress, like it's specifically meant to like fit a woman's figure. I agree.
And I say,
but then people will put up the argument like, oh, but we need to change that because like men and women are the same.
I'm not, dude. If you're a dude and you want to wear a dress, wear a dress. I'm just saying that
like,
there's a reason why more women are going to wear a dress than men, because it works for them more. It works for their biology more.
Any of you, if you are a dude and you want to wear a fucking dress, I don't care.
Yeah.
Wear a dress.
Wear a dress.
I don't judge you. I don't care. What I care about is when when people try to like enforce that there's no difference between men and women.
Yeah.
When there clearly is.
There clearly is, and I think it's because we've equated the word different with wrong.
Right.
And I think that's why like we think that there's like the standard, anything different from the standard is considered wrong. But I think there is like a standard for women and there's like a standard for men. Like and I really it's a timeline, right? Like I've been told that like, and I kind of agree that I'm a pretty effeminate man, right? Like I think
I'm a pretty like masculine female.
So like and if you go back to my history, I grew up in nothing but female-led households my whole life. So that's probably why. Right? Like I think I haven't had like a male leader figure in my life since I was like 4. So it's just been women. So like, of course I'm going to pick up more feminine traits. And so I just think it's on a spectrum, but there are clear, I just don't understand how people don't see it as, there's just clear differences. Because then you almost want to disregard what they say wholesale because the premise doesn't make any sense. Like if you were a person who's like, look, like, I just choose to dress this way because it makes me feel more comfortable. Like, cool.
Right.
But when it's like, you're part of the problem because you're stuck in the 21st century where gender roles still exist. You need to expand beyond that. And I'm like,
I just want to live my life. I want you to be able to live your life too, but I don't want you to like tell me what to do,
And we've talked about this before. Like, and so for YouTube, I'm a super hardcore lefty. Right, like born and raised in California, my mom's best friends was a lesbian couple. One was a devout Christian and one was a devout Muslim. They would sit there and pray together And
that's
like,
so cool.
Yeah, right. So like,
that's
I'm
so freaking cool.
super lefty. Like, yeah, I think guns are all evil. Like, if I could, I would get every gun and throw them into a volcano, right? Like that. That's how super lefty I am.
I don't know if I'm that left.
Yeah,
but yeah.
But like, we are going to lose this fight. We're going to lose. We're going to lose this social fight because we do not know how to talk about it. I think it goes back
to the like black and white thing. Like you just, it's. Everyone's focusing on the wrong issues. They're focusing on the wrong things. You know?
And it's actually, some part of me actually wonders if this is actually by design. That, because if you think about it, pushing these things actually makes the pushback even harder. So sometimes I wonder if like super hardcore right people are just trolling the left.
Oh, I know they are.
By putting stuff up like this so that other right people will fight against this even harder. Right? Like we've had the most, restrictive LGBT laws written after the court case gave them the ability to get married, right? It's like when you force these things to people is when they react instead of like letting them like. And I think we've talked about this too, my issue with the LGBT community. It took 100 years. It took 100 years for black people to go from being slaves to me being able to sit here and talk to you, right? It took that long for people to just kind of ease into the process.
Right.
And you can say that's right or wrong, and I think it was way too long to take, but it was something that needed to happen, and it needed to happen kind of easily, and it's still a lot of fighting, a lot of death. It's like they want it now.
Yeah.
Like I need to know these. I need to know these words now. I need to know these things now.
Right.
I have to conform now.
Well, it was like in 2000, like saying that you didn't agree with gay marriage was totally fine. Like
it was just a difference of opinion.
We're totally fine with that. And now 20 years later, it's like if you say that, then you will get like you'll lose your job. You'll like everything. And like I was telling you this. You cannot tell my grandmother who is 86. I think she's 86 years old. You can't tell my 86-year-old grandmother who goes to church almost every single day, grew up in freaking Kentucky. You cannot tell her that gay marriage is okay and she'll just suddenly like be cool with it. Like this takes time.
It takes time.
And the thing is, you have to like accept the people who are just never going to like agree with you. That's the thing. It's like
and it's not that. You just don't agree. It doesn't mean that they're horrible people.
Right.
Blah, blah, blah. It just means they don't agree.
No, exactly.
But again, to that point of time, right? Okay, so was it 2011 is when that court case happened?
Something like that. I know it was after 2010.
Yeah, so
it was very recent.
Yeah, so okay, so let's say 2011, so we can say 10 years, right? Because now we're in 2021, right? So in 10 years, you can go from going. I just don't know.
I think it was like 2014.
Was it 2014?
Yeah.
Wow.
Because I'm thinking back. You mean when gay marriage became?
Yeah, when the court case happened.
So I'm thinking when the with YouTube Rewind. It was either 2014 or 2015. I think it was 2014 actually, because I'm thinking of like the specific YouTube Rewind video where they showed like the like bus with the rainbow flag going past. I'm pretty sure that was 2014.
You're right, because I was done with undergrad by the time we got done. But anyways, okay, so let's just say 10 years. 10 years ago, you could say, I don't know if I'm okay with gay marriage, and you wouldn't be seen as a horrible person.
Right.
To if you say that now, you're the biggest bigot in the world.
Oh my God, yeah.
If we can compare that, the Civil Rights Act was signed, 1965, right? So in 10 years, it was still illegal. So in the 70s, it was still illegal for black and white people to get married in this state. Right? Like, you see what I'm saying? Like,
it's crazy. Like, it's still, I still, like, get baffled when I think that, like, not that long ago, like, you couldn't use the same bathroom that I could, like, we couldn't, like, drink out of the same water fountain. That's insane.
It's insane. And
it's crazy.
And so, like, and that's what really bugs me, because I'm sorry if you're in that community, because I actually really support you, but the LGBT community never had to do anything like that, right? Like, they never were ostracized to that point, and yet they're trying to like piggyback off of the civil rights movement as if they are the logical next step. Now, I just think that as a whole, the Civil Rights Act needs to be rewritten so that they're just included in the literature. I just think that wasn't an issue back then, so they didn't include it because nobody was talking about it. So I agree with them there that, just talk about it and say all people instead of just saying, okay, black people are people.
Yeah, and I'm not like the LGBTQ community can has to go through all the struggles that black people went through. Like, no, but they need to understand that people aren't just going to be suddenly okay with everything. Like, that's the thing. It's like,
and these things they take time, right?
Right. I mean, like when I was a kid, I was taught growing up, because my family was very religious, that gay people are not okay.
Yeah.
And it's just something that I had to kind of figure out on my own. As I went through school, and now I'm I can't imagine not being okay with it,
And also, it's just look, dude, whether we like it or not.
But it took time for me, right?
And whether we like it or not, the majority of the United States is leaning conservative, right?
Oh my God!
Because the majority of the United States are Christian, and so they're going to hold to those values. It's fine.
Well, God bless America, right?
Yeah, right. So you can't go to a majority Christian country and be like, okay, it's time to get woke.
Yeah, right.
Right. There ain't somebody down in Louisiana is not going to be like, oh yeah, I'm all about
right.
I don't have food, water, or a good place to send my kid to go to school, but you know what? I'm all about them civil rights.
Same thing when I went to Ghana. You can't go to Ghana and say gay people are okay. They won't just.
And they have way other things that they're worried about.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So
right.
I'm convinced that we are just fighting the wrong war. And I think it is on purpose. I think it is on purpose that the people in power are forcing people like us to fight amongst ourselves in order to stop ourselves from seeing what we really need to be fighting. We would not need to have this discussion about LGBTQ rights if we were to fight the powers that be. Because then we would be the ones putting the stuff into the media anyway, and we would just include them, right? The only reason that whatever, your flavor of whatever oppressed thing you are is not in whatever you want to watch and it's not being represented, is because the CEO of that company is an old white dude and he runs everything, and he's probably 70 years old, so he's running it about how he was when he was our age.
Yeah.
Right? And so you know what I mean? So
and and the thing is as much as I am not cool with big corporations and all these oldies, running them, you also it's how they are. You can't expect them to change. So you kind of have to wait it out, wait it out, teach the younger generation, just kind of wait it out.
I mean, and we're seeing that Gen Zs, like our students, they're even more woke, I guess, or progressive.
Some of them drive me nuts.
I enjoy it because it's so much more natural with them. And I'm okay with that. What I hate is when it feels forced.
Yes.
I
think our the millennial generation, it's forced.
I think so, and I think it's just because we just have bigger shit to worry about, dude. We are a generation that just lived through 2 economic crashes equivalent to the Great Depression. No generation has ever lived through that, right? I love my little Gen Zers, but dog, I'm in my 30s now, and the country falling apart. When I tried to go to college, the country fell apart again, right? You know what I mean? So you take care of that fight. But yeah, but it's much more natural with them. So for example, my students, I just don't hear them say he or she nearly as much. They just say they. But they've even changed it so that it doesn't sound awkward.
Yeah.
Right? They've even just changed it so the way they talk about people, they just say oh, they're doing this and they're doing that, instead of oh, they have yellow hair.
Yeah,
right? You know what I mean? So
I've actually noticed that and I'm not great with this, but I've actually noticed that I've started doing that sort of thing. If I'm just talking about anyone, I'll usually just say, oh, they're going over the, yeah.
And that's how language naturally evolves. Language will naturally evolve to solve all these problems, because we will just accept words that we like, and we'll discredit words that we don't. Yeah. For example, I am very ashamed that I used to use the word fag a lot.
Oh, I think I did too. I didn't use it that much. Yeah.
I used it a lot when I was younger. And I also used to use...
But, it's like Louis C.K. You just called someone a faggot because they're being a faggot.
Yeah, because they're being a faggot. And that's what it was. And I used to use the word gay as a negative connotation a lot. I used to be oh, man.
A lot of people did that.
I used to be oh, that's some gay-ass shit, right?
Right.
They used to say that a lot. But I've grown and I've changed. And,
right.
And also, not only that, but, I never find myself in a situation where using that phrase feels appropriate anymore, right? We've just moved past needing to use that phrase. And so, I just, this is so pointless, because is not going to solve anything.
No, not at all. And
is that really long time no see?
Yeah. Okay. So we'll get there. Okay. So, yeah, crazy, insane, crippled. We already talked about disabled, dummy,
Jimmy,
grandfather. You can't say
legacy status. Legacies.
You can't say grandfather.
Fuck you. Fuck you.
I didn't know about that one.
Fuck that. Look.
You can't say grandfathered. I was grandfathered in.
Dude, I've been grandfathered into this amazing cell phone plan since I went to college, and I'm going to keep using that phrase. So fuck that. Fuck that.
Grandfather. You can't say... Why?
Okay, here's one I actually agree with. Gypped and gypsies. I think that... But nobody said... That's already one people don't say.
I don't hear people saying, oh, I was gypped. I feel like that's like a New York thing, like an old school New York thing.
It's an old school New York thing, and it's also like a weird Karen soccer mom thing. Because I will admit that is one word that I just don't see any reason for it. But I remember I was sitting at this coffee shop, and these two like ladies, they're like, oh, they're these gypsies, and you got to watch out for them because they pretend they're poor, but they want to steal your money because they're gypsies. And I was like, is this like 1950?
Right.
Like, what's happening here?
It's like Bo Rat.
Yeah. Like, I was like, oh, wow. Like, I'm just sitting here watching casual racism. And it's not being thrown at me. This is weird.
You don't have to, like, tell people to not say that. That's like, I don't know. I don't hear people saying that. Like,
I don't hear people saying that either.
Who going to college right now at Michigan State University is going to say the word gypped?
There's nobody.
No one.
There's nobody who is... I'm going to go on a limb here. There is nobody who is 35 or younger who has said the word gypped in any kind of real way.
I don't think I've ever... Have I ever used that word? I don't know.
I refuse to believe that.
Handicapped. So you can't say handicapped parking anymore.
That's stupid. That's ridiculous.
You have to say restricted parking.
No, fuck that. Fuck that.
Okay, you can't say girl, gal, boy, or guy. Person. I say guy all the time. You guys. I say that all the time.
That actually is one. I'm surprised they didn't make you do that. That is actually they made us stop saying. And when I was in
university,
music ed, they said
I couldn't say that. I said fuck you, and I still say it because
I try to say you all. And the only
I say y'all.
Yeah, or y'all. Yeah, I try to say you guys. I try not to say you guys, just because I get that one since I have guys and girls in my classroom. Mm-hmm. But I feel like guys, in most situation, the word guy and man have become like the word dude. Mm-hmm. It really doesn't have much to do with gender.
No, it doesn't, and that's why I say, like, I'll go up to a group that's all women. I'll go, hey, you guys. Like, it has nothing to do with the fact that it's like about a guy, like a dude. Like it has nothing to do with that.
Yeah,
it's addressing a group of people.
It's lost that connotation. Like the word is just.
But then people are like diagnosing it. Oh, well, this has the word guy in it, therefore it's offensive, even though no one fucking uses it that way.
Yeah,
like
nobody uses it that way.
And that goes on along with the next one. You can't say guys or gals. You have to say everyone or folks. Who says?
I am not.
You said white folks.
Yeah, yeah, and I said that.
But that's just you being silly,
I purposely said that to be
like,
silly. I am not an 80-year-old dude. I am not saying, hey, folks.
Hey, folks.
Hey, folks.
Yeah, and this you can't say honey, sweetheart, or sweetie. Use the person's name.
This one, I bet you, is because it's in Michigan. Because this is something that the rest of the United States doesn't understand about Southern culture.
Right. Thank you. It's a Southern culture.
That is a Southern culture, because I didn't get it until I moved to Virginia. Like when I was in California, nobody calls you sweetie, sweetheart, nothing like that. Mm-hmm. But I moved here and I'm like, oh, sweetheart, what you doing? I'm like, yeah,
right. I love it. I personally love it.
It's nice. Yeah, it's nice. But that is very much because they're in Michigan and they just don't understand. There's no way that some university here is not going to be okay with people saying sweetie.
This is okay. So this is another thing. Like, Michigan State University is a well-known university in the United States. So what if someone from the South who is used to saying a lot of these different things, like you know, guys and gals, and you know, is used to saying things like honey, sweetheart, and sweetie, and you're suddenly telling them you can't say those words anymore, even though it's a part of like their culture.
Yeah, and see, here's the problem. See, and this is why this is so toxic. The reason why that is because they don't expect a person from the South to be able to be smart enough to get into Michigan University, right? Like it is elitist to its core that we're saying that if you are educated and smart and you go to the best schools, this is how you talk, right? These are the words that only the riffraff say, right? So what they're basically saying is that if a person from Alabama is smart enough to get into Michigan, they're going to already be woke enough where they're not going to talk like this. Like that, and it's such an elitist, sad mindset because I have met some of the smartest people I've met have been in the middle of nowhere, West Virginia, right? And just like
I remember you telling me all about your like
pure diamonds in the rough. Like it blows my mind that I can go to some rave in the middle of West Virginia, some girl, and she's over here drinking drunk off her ass and doing things, but then she talks to me about her dissertation and how she's doing like basically leading the fight against like mountaintop removal and writing this huge paper and is like teaching at a university.
And you would never expect that because West Virginia is always seen as like the state where you can like screw your second cousin or whatever, and they're always just seen as the cold state.
Get such a bad rap. No, granted, there is some of that in West Virginia.
Well,
but,
yes,
but there's some of that everywhere.
But that's not the
but that's not
right.
So, but that's what they're thinking there. They're thinking that these uneducated hicks are going to be coming to this kind of school.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay, so the next one, long time no see.
This one I don't
Let me
understand.
explain this one to you because so I had to have this one explained to me. So you're supposed to say it's been a while. I haven't seen you in ages. So long time no see apparently originated from white people making fun of Asian people for not being able to speak English properly or whatever. So they'd say long time no see because it's not like correct English. But the thing is, no one knows
Nobody knows that.
No one knows that.
Literally,
so therefore it doesn't
I've never heard that story in my life.
Right.
I've never heard that story in my life. It makes sense. But like, but like, I've never heard that story in my life.
And the thing is, like, so many Asian people that I know freaking say long time no see. It's just a way a long time no see. I haven't seen you in a while. Like,
it's
what the hell?
It's just an expression, dude. It's words change. Like, I've been trying to think of like an example of an expression we say today that could have been seen as offensive, even like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Because there are plenty that I know. I just when I think about them, I can't think about them. But there are plenty of things, you know, that you can say now that you couldn't say back then that are fine now because it's changed.
Well, even like, I mean, even just like swearing. Like, there's certain words that were.
Yeah, I feel
offensive now or were offensive then that aren't now. Like
ass. Like ass is no longer.
You can put ass in a commercial.
Yeah, ass is no longer.
I don't bleep out ass when I'm doing my YouTube stuff because ass isn't really a bad word.
Yeah, shit is another one that's pretty much not a bad word anymore. You know, I mean, South Park did that though.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So okay, that makes sense now you explain it, but I still think it's dumb.
But it's still stupid.
Low man on the totem pole.
I've never heard that.
That's such a specific thing. I can't believe they thought about that. Master, slave.
Last in the pecking order, the bottom of the heap. I've never heard that before.
I've heard it, but I just don't use it's not used enough.
Who says master?
I guess people who like BDSM, but
slave. Well, what if you're like talking about history or something?
Yeah, I guess you'd have to do. What would you say? Leader, follower, primary, standby, native. You're not allowed to say native.
Built in. Wait, because of like Native Americans?
So I guess they want that word just for themselves? I doubt that there's any Native American person who's like, I don't want anybody but us saying the word native.
Off the reservation.
That's an old, outdated one that's not used anymore.
Yeah,
I agree.
I haven't heard anyone say that.
Yeah, I agree. You shouldn't say it.
You can't say picnic anymore.
Why?
You're supposed to say gathering.
I mean, it's not like anybody goes on picnics anymore, but
I do. I love. Boyfriend and I went on a picnic. It was nice.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah, I love it. Wait, why? Do you know why picnic would be a bad?
I have no clue. I mean,
Why can't you say picnic? I like picnics.
Picnics are nice. Yeah.
Aww. Preferred pronouns. Instead of wow, we've gotten so woke that now we can't even say preferred pronouns. We just have to say pronouns. Wow.
Oh, it was just like that whole sexual preference thing. You know, you're not allowed to say sexual preference anymore.
Really?
Yeah, you have to say sexual orientation.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
No longer sexual preference, even though everybody says sexual preference because that's how we all understand it.
Who did I watch who was talking about it? Maybe it was Louis C.K. There was some comedian I was watching where they were talking about how oh no, I think it was George Carlin actually. And he was talking about the what's it called? basically PTSD, like how it started, how the word started, and how it like slowly got more and more pussy-like.
Yes.
Like,
I remember that joke.
Yeah.
He was like, first PTSD, he was like, I just came back from the trenches of Vietnam. I had people shooting at me with a flamethrower. And then and it was called
like it begins with a B.
It was like berated war syndrome. It was like some crazy.
It was shell shock.
Yeah, shell shock.
Shell shock.
Yeah,
That's
shell shock from
called.
World War One. Shell shock from World War One is where he started. Yeah.
Yeah, it was shell shocked, and he was like, okay, so that's like, you know, it gets to the point, shell shocked, right? And then it got to like, you know, just like it got pussier and pussier as it went on. Post-traumatic stress disorder. He's like, how do we go from shell shocked, like so easy to say, and to like, you know, just to get the language there. Oh, he was shell shocked. He is shell shocked. Like, to go to like, oh, now he has post-traumatic stress disorder. Like, that's not, and people have to say PTSD because it's too long to say. Too long,
yeah.
You know?
It's just because somebody wanted to write some dissertation so they can finish their doctorate and teach at some university.
I need to go to the bathroom, so I'll be right back.
Okay. Hey, YouTube. Just eating some Chipotle. Drinking a beer. My name's Kareem. Was a student teacher at my school, my second year there. We became best friends because we both love Zelda. Then we became even better friends because we both hate The Last of Us 2. So, that's my story. I'm talking to your audience. Introducing myself.
If you're wondering how we became friends, it's because of this.
Yeah.
Just like instantly.
That's just what I said.
Friends.
That's what I said. I was like, yeah, she was teaching at my school. My second year there, she played some Zelda, and that was pretty much it.
Yeah. We just turned to each other and we're like, wait, are we best friends? Like, did we just discover that we're best friends?
Yeah.
Alright. Sanity check.
Sanity check? Nobody says that.
No one says it either. Yeah.
Soul Down the River.
What?
That's another old one. I get why they would do that, but no, but it's lost its connotation. They do Soul Down the River because you used to sell slaves down the river, right? You put them in a boat,
but no
sail
one
down the
says
river,
it.
and so I hear it rarely when
Who
somebody
says it that you know?
Like, I've heard it in the context of like like I remember I had like I think I said it once to a friend of mine because funny story. This friend I have who actually used to live next to you. We moved, but he has like this. How do I describe his wife? She's fine. You know what I mean? Well, she's fine, I guess. But she's very. And her voice is a little too high pitched, and it's just sharp. You know what I mean? But anyway, but she can get a little naggy, and like, dude, I'm sorry, women. Like, I.
Oh, I love the word nagging.
Right? It's just too much.
I love Fairly Odd Parents.
Yeah, it was like nag.
Is that all you do?
Yeah. But she can just be a little ridiculous sometimes. But anyways, one time I was with.
By the way, you don't have to apologize to the women because I don't get a lot.
You don't have women
It's all guys who watch my channel.
Yeah, it's a bunch of dudes who want to watch you play video games.
And if you're joining, welcome. I don't give a shit about feminism, so welcome.
But
you're shaking the camera, by the way.
Oops, sorry.
You're fine.
But what was it? Oh, so he told me this story. Okay, so like this is what I mean by like, I don't know how I feel about it. There was a time period where they had just had their kid, so like a new kid. He was the sole breadwinner because she's from Iran and she was working on getting her green card, and she was going to school here. So he would work all day, come home, take care of the kid. And then at night, do his wife's homework because he could read the English better than she could.
Wait, what?
And I was like, you're insane. And then I said, wow, I'm super glad I'm not married because that fucking sucks. And I was like, I'm not doing that for my wife. And then apparently they got in some fight and he was like, you know what? Kareem says that's why he's never getting married because he doesn't want people making him do the stuff that you make me do. And she fucking hated me after that.
I'll bet.
And then when he told me that story is when I said, dude, you totally sold me down the river. Right? Like that's an example of like someone like selling me down the river. Like, but that's so specific that like I don't see.
And you used it. That's the thing. It's like.
And so like because it doesn't mean the whole thing with the he literally like he
did.
He's like he sold me down the river.
Or like I've used the expression thrown under the bus. Things like that. Like
yeah, thrown under the bus.
River, thrown under the bus. Yeah.
Yeah, this is ridiculous.
This is gonna be like canceled.
That was gonna be canceled.
Thrown under the bus.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, yeah. That'd be mean to bus drivers because bus drivers don't make a lot of money, and now you're demeaning them.
You're saying that they get in accidents. Yeah. All right.
Is there more? There's a couple more.
Straw man.
Straw man is literally is a term. It is a logical fallacy.
Uppity? You can't say uppity?
I'm never stopping saying uppity. I say uppity all the time.
I love uppity. That's a great word.
Because is uppity. So I'm like, until I leave this state, the word is uppity.
When he goes, oh, you think everything's up on the uppity?
Yeah. No, uppity is staying. Screw you, Michigan.
Oh, I love the word uppity.
Strawman doesn't make any sense.
I don't even know what that word means.
Strawman is a type of argument where you put up something. You try to argue for the other person by putting up a false example of what they believe and then tear that down.
I see what you're saying.
So, like, you know, if I were to say, like, a straw man would be like, all feminists want men to just die, right? Like, that's not what all feminists want. Like, that would be a straw man because then I can show that that's so stupid. Mm-hmm. But that's just, I did a paper. I had to write a paper on logical fallacies, and I had, like, one of them was straw man. Like, that's a technical term. So I don't understand how that is. That's like a philosophical term for arguing and how not to argue.
Avoid using the terms mentioned in the alternative words
list. We have alternate word lists?
Wow.
Oh, jeez. Or is it these? These are the ones we avoid.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so these are the ones we avoid. They're not banned. They're just avoid? We just avoid these?
I guess so.
But still, that's ridiculous. Mm-hmm. Slack channel. And like, they don't even give, like, reasons for them. It's just, like, tone policing.
No, it's just literally telling people that they can't say certain things.
And I want to know why women is not on here.
Right.
Why? If you're going to say man and men, why not women? That almost makes me think that a woman could not have written this. It has to be some dude, like, trying to show that he's
PC
woke.
Principle.
Yeah, like, exactly. Yeah, this is what PC Principle would have written.
Sincerely, your name, title, contact information. Oh, man, this is a mess.
This amount of tone policing, like I don't want to live in the world that, like, people like this are trying to create.
Right.
Yeah. Good thing you're not going to University of Michigan.
Oh my God, I know. Well, the thing is, like, this person is doing the theater program there, and they have an amazing theater program. But you know, if you're a theater major, you gotta follow these.
Yeah, you definitely.
Like, you gotta.
I'm just trying to think if there was anything equivalent to this when we were younger, like when we were like teenagers. Like, I just don't think there was a movement like this. Like, so when we were teenagers, the biggest thing was people coming out. Like, I remember, like, that was like the big deal. Like, because I had a friend who came out when I got my sophomore year of high school, and like that was a pretty big deal. I'm like,
it was hard back then.
Yeah, and
now when people come out, they make it so dramatic, and it's like it's not that big of a deal anymore. Like,
I got 10 other gay friends. Like, just join the party. Like, this is
they're
not
like crying, and like I remember my friend. I remember my one friend in college, was living like. Basically, I lived with, like, all liberal people.
I remember you telling
and then
me
like
that,
my one friend who was more conservative, who I like specifically, like, we had a suite. Like, we had a suite, so there were like two people to each, like, room that connected to a suite, and we had 3 rooms, right? So basically everyone in the suite was extremely liberal. At that time I was more conservative. And then my roommate was more conservative than I was. But, like, we were still very accepting of, like, people who were coming out and things like that. And one of my roommates said that they were coming out as being trans. And I remember sitting down with this person, and we were all sitting there, and we're just like, oh, thank you for telling us. And this person's like, no, it's just, like, it's so emotional because I finally know, like, who I am. And they're just like crying. And it's like, but we like accept you. And this person's like, but like, and they're crying. And because it's like they want to put on a show, you know?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You know, I want to disagree just ever so slightly.
Go for it.
I'm gonna disagree ever so slightly. I think you're right that it has become too big and overblown, but I do understand that, like, if you've had, like, this nagging itch, like, in the corner of your brain that something is off, and you've lived your whole life, you know, let's just say 18, 20 years, with just this itch in the back of your brain, like, something is off, something is wrong, something is not right. And then one day you figure out what it is, and you're like, oh, I think I want to be a woman, right? Like, or you want to be a man, like you want to change. And you're like, that's what it is. Like, that's what's been missing, and that's what I've wanted this whole time. I can see that being a big deal for the person, right? Like, I can see like them having this revelation of like, I finally found the answers. It's like when I finally beat the Master Sword trials after 5 years, right? It's like, I finally did it, and I sat there and I was like, yes, right? Like, I get that, but you're right. I think it is getting to a point where it is becoming theater. Like, there's a difference of the person who's like, oh man, like this means so much to me, and I'm like, oh, I'm really, but if they're trying to just get your attention and make it a big show, then it becomes a problem.
Okay, so from just like the little bit of information that I told you, totally get where you're coming from.
Yeah.
This person was, like, in just the 2 years that I knew this person, was straight, in 2 years, straight, lesbian, told us they were trans, back to lesbian, then went to trans again, then back to lesbian.
Okay.
Now this person is completely straight and has a boyfriend.
Okay, so yeah, that was all for attention.
That was all for attention. It's like that sort of thing that pisses me off.
Yeah, like that's totally different than my trans friend I have, like where I knew that that's the direction she wanted to go. Like, first met him as Jacob, and he was very much a boy, and he kind of called himself gay. Even he called himself pan, even though I never ever saw him interested in a dude. That's my friend. Ever saw him interested in a dude, and he would get girls coming at him like crazy because all girls want to sleep with their gay best friend. Mm-hmm. So he would get girls, but then I noticed that he started taking supplements and wanted to go through the process, and I was like, okay, this makes sense. Like, you wanted to be a girl. And then she's been that way ever since. Like, but this, the flip-flopping back and forth, like, that's when you know it's kind of fun.
Right. And so, like, one of my friends who actually, I keep forgetting to contact, I miss this person a lot, but I did a musical with this person, and I knew this person in high school, but, like, wasn't really friends with this person. Like, it's not that we didn't like each other, we just didn't really know each other that well, you know? And so then we did this musical with each other about, like, 2 years ago, and I didn't recognize the person because they had transitioned. And as I got to know this person more, and they told me, like, who they were, like, that I knew when I was in high school, I told them, I was like, you are so much more comfortable. I can just tell, you're so much more comfortable, like, being you now than when I knew you when you were in high school. And I'm really happy for you in that sense, because, like, I can tell you're just, I don't know what other way to say it than just comfortable. You know?
It's like for us dudes, when you finally find a pair of boxers or briefs that kind of situate your balls just right. You're like, Or like for girls, when you finally find a bra that fits the right way, you're like, oh shit, this is how this is supposed to be.
Suck. I hate bras.
They seem like they're pretty rough.
Oh man.
From a dude's perspective, we love them, but
I know.
But from a girl's perspective, they seem pretty awful.
It depends on the bra. I think what sucks is like if you have, like, bigger boobs, it's so hard to find a good bra.
That's what all my big boob girls friends say. And, like, I remember, I had this friend, but, she's pretty big. And she came up to me, and we were always pretty open with each other, like, ridiculous. And she was like, Kareem, I just found out that I'm a 36 double D. And I was like, I could have told you that shit. Like, she was like, I finally got professionally fitted. I got bras. I finally where I was like, girl, like, I could have told you that. Right. I'm looking at those things like, man, like, what are you doing? So she's like, everything feels so great now. And I was like, I'm sorry you waited that long. You could have asked literally any dude. Any dude. They would have told you what size you are. And they'd have been like,
Hey, don't really know what happened, but the audio decided it wanted to cut off there, so I don't know why it did that, but that's it for the Boo Kareem podcast. If you enjoyed, leave a like. Leave a comment letting me know what you think. If anything offended you, go ahead, leave a comment talking about it. We're literally just speaking our minds, and, we could be ignorant about certain things. But if you did happen to enjoy it, go ahead and subscribe. I could do another one of these. I enjoyed this podcast thing, so if you liked it, I'll do another one. Bye!